Alrighty. I can't believe the luck. Alrighty. So, the picture you see, you may recognize in my last video I did, alright? This is civil rights lawyer, alright? I just came across this video on accident. It popped up on my screen while I was brushing through videos because I'm just chilling, watching a little bit of videos here and there. And, I do not directly go into one line. I kind of look all the way around, dare I say, I'll also check out music videos, and get some updates on some music and then reactions, and then I'll do some of the videos of modern women thing and modern men thing, and just see what outside my realm is looking. I don't drive across country anymore, so I really I'm kind of in my own little bubble, as you would per se, even though I always look around to protect myself. It's more of study and research, not really the wide world, right? I spent 53 years in the wide world, and every time I go to the store, all I see is less rights, okay? Every time I turn around, we're losing rights. And but this actually, let me get some clarification right quick, all right? So, I am Diesel, we the People News. Alrighty, I bet you guys knew that. And this video is without prejudice and or without recourse, okay? I'm reserving all my rights in the whole wide world. I'm not waiving them, okay? Just for argument's sake, I'm going to go ahead and claim UCC 1-308, also /1-207. Alright, if you guys don't know what that is, well, look it up, okay? And I'm not making any money off these videos, by the way, y'all. This is for my benefit more than anything else, but since it's for my benefit, I'm sharing it for everybody else out there, because what's helping me may be helping some of y'all out there, because I don't never look just straight forward. I look around me to be able to protect myself by any means necessary. Anything I say or do is not a legal advice. Why? Because I'm not him. I'm not an attorney. That's why. Alrighty. This is talking about Long Island. Long Island. And he happened to go in his town. Alright? The civil rights lawyer's town. So this should be fairly interesting, right? Alright, we're going to get his legal opinion, I guess is what you would say.
If you haven't learned this about me yet, now you know I don't like to do legal stuff on the weekends. Anyways, my email inbox was blowing up this weekend when I was trying to have fun. What happened was a nationally known First Amendment auditor on YouTube posted a video of his interaction at a courthouse that is local to me in Greenbrier County, West Virginia. In the description, I'll post a link to this video. It's also up at the website at thecivilrightslawyer.com. And a lot of people have seen it. It's gone pretty viral, so I'm probably not showing you anything you haven't seen already. Let's get to the important stuff. People have been asking me for my take on this video. And given the fact that I have an office literally a stone's throw away from where this happened, I've been at that courthouse many times. I know some of the people involved in this, or I've met them before anyways. In fact, I was first sworn in to practice law in the circuit courts of West Virginia in that very courthouse. As you see in the video, here are the relevant facts, according to me anyways. The auditor enters the courthouse, and you do have to go through security to get in, by the way. You don't get ID'd, but you do go through a metal detector, and mind you, they're filming you as you walk in as well. So he goes into what I know to be the county clerk's room. of the courthouse, which is where they keep the property deeds, surveys, things of that nature. And it appears that very quickly, upon entering that room, he was asked to leave. People did not want to give permission to be filmed. After that, a courthouse security officer approaches and says that you're not allowed to film in here. Then he eventually makes his way to what I believe to be the county commission room, where he speaks with the actual elected sheriff of the county and an attorney. He explains what he's doing, but he declines to give his full name. At that point, he's asked to leave. On the way down the stairs, the deputy escorting him gets in his face and at one point asks where he's from. Once outside, that same deputy then says that he's now decided to demand this guy's ID because he's now going to undertake an investigation of a suspicious person who's making people in the courthouse uneasy. So let's go through the legal issues here. Courthouses in West Virginia have some confusing legal authorities presiding over them. There's really three separate governmental authority figures: the court, the sheriff, and the county commission. There is one West Virginia Supreme Court case discussing this, which is State Ex Rel. Farley versus Spalding from 1998. In that case, it notes that Article 8, Section 6 of the West Virginia Constitution provides that subject to the approval of the state Supreme Court, the local circuit court has the authority and power to establish local rules that govern that particular court, including administrative things. However, at the same time, Article 9, Section 11 of the West Virginia Constitution provides that the local county commission possesses the police powers in their county, including at the courthouses in their county. Additionally, now there's a state code, 732, that mandates that the county commission is responsible for providing a suitable courthouse at their expense and also possesses the authority and obligation to provide for courthouse security via the local elected sheriff. Thus, the county sheriff is generally responsible for courthouse security in West Virginia. However, the local circuit courts are ultimately in control of their courtrooms, generally speaking. Now, looking at the court side of things, West Virginia State Court Trial Court Rule 8 provides that permission of the court is required, quote, in and around the courtrooms during judicial proceedings, which can be granted at the sole discretion of the presiding judge. Trial Court Rule 8.05 provides that any media coverage or video audio coverage of non-judicial meetings in the courtrooms are also subject to permission with the concurrence of the sponsoring group. So, looking at what happened here, he did film at one point inside a courtroom, but generally this was taking place outside the courtroom. There were no judicial proceedings that I could see that were taking place. Certainly, when there are, the trial judge has the ability to control their courtroom, no doubt, under West Virginia law and most other states, while court's going on. Doesn't appear that that was going on here. It looks like we're dealing with more of a sheriff's general authority over courthouse security, period. Now, are there ID laws in West Virginia? Generally speaking, there is no state law in West Virginia requiring pedestrians to produce their ID to police, to law enforcement. If there were, generally speaking, it would constitute a violation of the Fourth Amendment where there was no reasonable suspicion that any crime had been committed. The Fourth Circuit, which is where this is, where I practice, where is the ultimate law of the land, one step down only to the Supreme Court here in West Virginia. The Fourth Circuit previously has denounced police officers from seizing individuals based on non-particularized general assumptions about suspects, which may be based on irrational, speculative, or otherwise improper fears, biases, or falsehoods. Source for that, United States versus Black, Fourth Circuit 2013, among other things. So even with reasonable suspicion, the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals has held that in non-traffic investigative detentions, now remember, non-traffic is the key here, we're dealing with pedestrians. As I've said many times before, the legal rights of a pedestrian versus somebody who's pulled over in a traffic stop can be very, very different, so don't confuse those two things. But in West Virginia case law from the Supreme Court has held that non-traffic investigative detentions in that context, that refusal to identify oneself to a law enforcement officer does not, standing alone, form the basis for a charge of obstructing an officer in West Virginia. That's State versus Snirsky, a 2003 case. I've discussed it many times, written about it many times. In another West Virginia case, they said, quote, "The freedom of individuals verbally to oppose or challenge police action without thereby risking arrest is one of the principal characteristics by which we distinguish a free nation from a police state." That's from a 2003 West Virginia case called State ex rel Wilmoth versus Gustke. Again, these will all be at the link in the description at the website at thecivilrightslawyer.com. So you can go back and look at those later if you have relevant interest. So I deal with this state obstructing charge all the time in my career. On the charge of, and that's what you get charged with. There's no ID law in West Virginia, but what they do is charge people with obstruction. And that's why he says, well, I have an investigation, and this is what I'm investigating. And that happens in other states as well. So let's look at obstruction in West Virginia. On the charge of allegedly obstructing an officer in violation of what it is 61-5-17A, the plain language of that statute establishes that a person is guilty of obstruction when he, quote, by threats, menaces, acts, or otherwise forcibly or illegally hinders or obstructs or attempts to hinder or obstruct a law enforcement officer, probation officer, or parole officer acting in his or her official capacity. So, what does that mean? Well, let's go back to the Fourth Circuit. Again, law of the land, one step down from Supreme Court, having to do with federal constitutional issues. The Fourth Circuit fairly recently in 2019 held that in West Virginia, discussing our statute here, lawful conduct is not sufficient to establish the statutory offense of obstruction. They noted that the West Virginia courts have held that when done in an orderly manner, merely questioning or remonstrating with an officer while he or she is performing his or her duty does not ordinarily constitute the offense of obstructing an officer. That's Hupp versus State Trooper Seth Cook, Fourth Circuit, 2019. Lastly, does a citizen in West Virginia have a First Amendment right to record their in-person public records request at a county courthouse? They do, in my opinion, so long as they are otherwise engaging in lawful conduct. So doing so cannot be used to detain and forcibly ID that individual based on a police officer or anyone else's subjective, irrational fears, where law enforcement decides to now, I'm going to conduct an investigation because this person is suspicious to me, or this person is making other people uneasy. A forcible detainment and ID of an individual would be a Fourth Amendment seizure that would be unreasonable and therefore unlawful. So what about the First Amendment? Really, there can be little question that a First Amendment auditor, in the process of filming his interaction with public officials, is engaging in First Amendment protected activity. To prohibit him from doing so, unless he provides identification to them, is interference with the First Amendment. Subsequently demanding identification under threat of arrest for obstruction as a result of engaging in protected First Amendment activity very likely could consist of First Amendment retaliation. You can apply the facts of what you've seen to what I think the law is. I'll be curious to see where this goes.
There y'all go. A little learning experience for anybody in West Virginia that plan on doing any auditing. Alright, I guess go to his web channel there, or web thing, and look up these laws or codes and Supreme Courts and all that kind of stuff, and just listen to my video or his, and write them down as you listen to the videos. Alright, I'll say it once and I'll say it again. This is Civil Rights Lawyer. Okay, so if you're interested in it, go to his channel, subscribe. Alright, there we go. Do so we the people news. All right. Till next time. Bye.